Our final storyteller has been a journalist all over this country and came here to this valley to work with one of the organizations that I've loved to showcase over the years that has done so much great advocacy work for our farm workers to the point where they help them buy their own farm, the Pioneer Valley Workers Center. Our next storyteller, I'm also proud to say, lives in my home village of Great Falls. Please welcome, as our final storyteller of the evening, Alfonso Herrera Neal.
I'm crossing the border from El Paso, Texas, into Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. It's the height of the Remain in Mexico policy at the human crisis at our southern border. The star-spangled red, white, and blue turns into army fatigue green and automatic rifles. As I'm driving down the dusty road, emaciated dogs trot along the border wall, littered with rucksacks and food sacks and containers. I drive and I arrive to one of the larger refugee camps in Mexico. It's a shanty town. There's no running water, no electricity, no food, no beds, no blankets, nothing that says human beings are living here, waiting for a chance to get in front of an immigration judge to come work on a farm in the US. In the center of this dusty shanty town is a little sand pit with a half put together swing and two little girls swinging there, surrounded by rubber tires. Beside them, a line of shoes, a memorial for those who didn't make the journey and were never going to cross over. There were no criminals, no bad actors, just people looking for a better chance. And with each story I submitted to my managing editor, I thought, hell, had my family waited a few years, that could be me on the other side of this conflict. Growing up the firstborn son of immigrant parents, I was exposed early on to the importance of community, of justice, and the vital role unions play in protecting working people. Most of my early memories revolve around my grandmother putting on an oversized hat on top of my head and letting me water the gardens and the vegetables with her as she would tell me stories of my grandfather who would be causing trouble in his youth, supporting and fighting for his co-workers, all of them employed by the United Fruit Company. If it wasn't for that, my family wouldn't have boarded a cargo ship from Honduras and made it to New York City. Which would be a shame, because then I would never understand the joyous heartache of being a diehard Mets fan. But that's a whole other story. I'm just gonna... all these stories of youthful rebellion led me to go from an angsty teenager to a rebellious punk rock kid, and eventually to a career dedicated to fighting and advocating for all working people. Obviously, I had no idea that's exactly what was going to happen. In fact, before I went to college and I was leaving high school, I remember a conversation with my grandmother at the kitchen where I said, Grandma, I think I'm going to take a gap year and go travel up and down Central and South America. Now, mind you, this is a 4'9" grandmother. She whips around with a wooden spoon aimed directly in my head and says, absolutamente no. Si te vas a Honduras, te vas a encontrar con los comunistas, los anarquistas, y te haces un guerrillero como tu abuelo. I was like, okay, I guess there goes that idea. Instead, I found myself a first-year art student in California, working day jobs at various farms, and that's where I began to witness the disparity between the workers and the bosses. From there, I went to the Southwest and became a community organizer, fighting against unlawful deportations and boycotting and protesting all of those racist laws that had just started to get passed. Y'all remember Arizona's SB 1070, the Show Me Your Papers law? I thought that's as bad as it's gonna get. Wow, I was really wrong. From there, I found myself driving from coast to coast, helping workers organize unions across this country, until I settled in St. Louis, just for a little bit. It was there I got the call about coming up this way to work and advocate on behalf of migrant farm workers. I said, absolutely, not a second thought, I'm on my way. It wasn't until St. Louis was a long ways away and I crossed over into Massachusetts that I realized two things. One, what the hell have I just gotten myself into? And two, I know absolutely nothing about Western Massachusetts. You mean there's more to this than Boston? But I learned pretty quickly, and I was inspired on a daily basis by the migrant farm workers, their families, the community, how they worked together to lift each other up, to empower each other, to feed each other, and to take care of each other in a way that is so radically different than what we see on a day-to-day basis. On the flip side, I also saw the constant conflict between fierce advocates on both sides of the food chain. In meeting after meeting, negotiation after negotiation, you could see how many words were thrown out, but nothing was actually ever really said. But that's conflict, right? We view conflict as a negative. We view it as the fight's worth fighting, so we're just going to keep fighting. And I applaud that because we all need to fight for something. But what if we viewed conflict as a positive? Sure, conflict makes us uncomfortable, but what if that discomfort would allow us to actually find a common sense cooperative solution? Something that works in the best interest of all of us. It was at that moment, and a moment that I keep thinking about very often, that our world would be so much better off if instead of just listening to respond, we actually started hearing each other to better understand.
CISA is so honored to bring you these stories about local food and our culture. If you'd like to learn more about CISA's work and our programs, please go to buylocalfood.org. Thank you.